Hello and welcome to the Human Side of Real Estate podcast. My name is Mark Toomey. I'm managing partner of Tata HRC, which is a boutique real estate headhunting company based in Warsaw, Poland. My guest today is Richard Hallward, who is founder and chairman of the CEE Quality Awards, CEEQA. Richard, hi, good to see you. Thanks very much for coming along today. Great.
An honour and a pleasure.
So listen, most people watching this know you as Richard, who organises CEEQA. And for the three of you out there who don't know what CEEQA is, it's rumoured to be the best real estate awards gathering in Europe. But before we get into all of that, I want to go way back in time to a time when Richard Hallward was not an industry name. So let's talk about how you first got into the arts and events scene.
Well, yeah, my background before I got into this mess was very much arts, culture, entertainment, doing large shows in the UK and France mainly, also one in New York. I slowly evolved, initially doing some government events. The Investors in People Standard, the Laurel Leaves, came out of the government, the Department for Education and Employment, and I was tasked with creating an events structure for that. Top draw events to hit the business leaders, middle events to hit the operational people, and conferences. And in that structure, we also created an industry awards. Which was my first experience of that, and I came away as an artist thinking that it could have been better from the awards point of view. It was still, even though it was government led, and it was still very much geared to the biggest contributors, the biggest investors, and so on, and it was not. Yeah, objective and transparent.
Yeah,
and so that sort of stuck with me.
Right.
But yes, my background was exclusively in that area.
Yeah,
and
because you did some like stage productions as well, and I remember we talked about some Millennium Dome productions as well.
That's right. I among other I organised a few sort of groundbreaking projects in literature, including one project about literature and madness called Beyond Bedlam.
Okay.
Mental health has always been a very big part of what I do and who I am in terms of my interests and commitments. But I organised the largest poetry event in history. Some years ago, in 1990, it was called Fire Readings, and this led to a publication of a big anthology, and this was working with people like Allen Ginsberg, who I think everyone knows, Carol Ann Duffy, Andrew Motion, poet laureates of the UK when they were still young. So I was working, that's the kind of stuff I was doing. I also launched a new ballet company. The two top dancers from the Royal Ballet wanted to set up their own thing, and I business managed that. I business managed the creators and of the Dome Show. That was a group called Moti Roti. Keith Khan and Ali Zaidi were the artists, and they curated the Dome Show. So that's the kind of thing I was doing.
Yeah.
And then arriving in CEE was just happenstance.
That's what I want to ask you. So you went from doing all that in the UK, and then you got to CEE at some point. When did you arrive in CEE?
Well, I arrived actually in Prague, in 2001, and that was just after I had wrapped up my final Millennium Festival project, and literally wanted to just have a sabbatical. And I had a friend or a business colleague in Prague who had a large place, and he was like, "Come and hang out in Prague."
Yeah.
So the original idea was actually for 4 months. I arrived in December. I had just launched the ballet company. Arrived in the December of 2001, this is where I just looked around. You couldn't help meet real estate people,
Yeah.
even as an artist in that Prague scene at that time. They were everywhere. The idea caught my attention that what was happening here was the murmurings, the beginnings of the rebuilding of Central and Eastern Europe post-communism. The commercial infrastructure was a big part of that. And off I went. The idea captured me. I started thinking about it, putting together, connecting. I also did JVs with a few of the other media players here. Eurobuild, I did some stuff. CIJ, Europa Property. But it was very clear to me with the vision I had, eventually, my idea was to showcase and support this amazing project of rebuilding Central and Eastern Europe post-communism. That was a cultural story. Yeah. And less a business story for me, or less I wasn't thinking how much money am I going to make. I was just thinking, wow, can I bottle that? And can I make a difference with it, creating a world-class show and perfectly transparent industry awards? That was my goal. The important issue back then was the attraction of global institutional investment into the sector.
Because we arrived in Prague at the same time. I was in Prague in 2001 as well. And I think everybody got to Prague saying, well, I'm going to go here for 4 months. And then they end up staying for 4 years.
They call it the Prague weekend.
Yeah.
You go for a weekend and end up staying 5 years.
But you're right. Like I remember back then there was a a lot of energy about the development of Central Eastern Europe at that time.
A lot of pioneers.
Yeah, and like I went there in a recruitment capacity, not really knowing much about real estate, but you couldn't help but bump into a lot of real estate guys, a lot of expats at the time, a lot of guys drinking in Ujama in Prague.
I remember it well. Yeah. Or spending their nights in Le Clan.
Yes, we won't discuss those here.
It's not a porn club. It was just a really great nightclub.
So it was a great energy around that time. And I guess a lot of people who we still know today who've gone on to be very successful
heroes.
A lot of those guys started in Prague as well. And
the Prague and the Budapest markets were much more developed, much more quickly. They were smaller markets, but they post-communism, they literally faced west immediately. And they had, let's call it, the more transparent processes and that international investors could lock into. The Poland story and the Romania story took a lot longer to turn around. They were bigger tanks to turn around. And so while you can say that the Prague and Budapest markets were already really developing well in the mid to late 90s, Warsaw didn't really take off until EU accession. There was stuff happening. A few significant A-class projects had been put up, for sure, but there was still, a real need for global institutional capital to attract that. And what I saw is that having a really first-class, world-class showcase and completely trustable industry awards would help project that. And I worked with the Financial Times, initially, and the Economist. The idea was to project the successes and the amazing project that we're seeing. So it wasn't passion about business for me. That project, that idea, that big idea of rebuilding a region post-communism was something I could really get my teeth into. Yeah. And it's something I could feel passionate about. Yeah. Largely because of my cultural background. I really got that. And so, it was about building something that, it was good enough that the bosses here would want to invite their bosses or their international clients, etc. And that's how it built up was, we attracted the really senior players. And of course, we then attracted other players who wanted to meet the really senior players.
Yeah. And on that, so anybody who has attended CEEQA knows the first thing that hits you when you walk in, the moment you walk in the doors, is the production value of the event. And every year there's a new theme to the event. So I was always kind of quite curious. Are these themes are they spontaneous moments of inspiration, or are they more kind of deliberately curated to kind of reflect global issues, or your own kind of personal views on particular issues? Or
yeah, we generally feed off some trend that's happening either in the CE marketplace or in the global financial markets, and we bounce off that trend to create creative projections of that narrative. For example, let's take 2005. We did our first green debate. And then the whole idea of green building, green technology, and sustainability became the theme of the events. And we had lots of grass and flowers and stuff as the scenography. And the publications were all, looking very grassy and green. And so, and we've done a number of those. I'm trying to think of another one, Digital Revolution. We did a conference at MIPIM that year where we basically predicted retail is going to get hit and it's going to have to adapt to the digitalization of commerce, and logistics is going to go stratospheric because that industry, online retail, is going to need significant distribution. So that was so we then carried that in, and at the gala we had our mimes that welcome everybody. They were dressed as robots, and stuff like that. Another one's 2018. We did a South African theme because there was a lot of South African money coming into the CE sector. One guesses that they had a different perception of risk, having had money in Africa. And so they could see, the higher yields, higher returns as being beneficial to them. So they were piling in. So we did a big South African themed gala where we got brought over a street choir from Cape Town to do the fanfares. We had Percy Montgomery, the most famous rugby player in South Africa.
I had a good chat with Percy that night.
He came and did a motivational speech. We also did some crazy things like, we did a Pulp Fiction room for no other reason than it was fun. And that year, and we had more Chiba playing. And,
they were great,
also as an artist, being able to work with these bands and great designers and scenographers and stuff. And, we do work with the best.
And you've had some great names over the years, obviously. The Boomtown Rats, and me being Irish, I grew up with them. So there were definitely more Chiba, as you mentioned.
The Boomtown Rats. One of my greatest memories of the whole journey was after the show, I went backstage to say, "Well done, boys." And Bob Geldof was standing there with his shirt off, dripping in sweat. And he said, "Come here." And he gave me this enormous, sweaty, dripping in sweat bear hug. It was so funny. But one of my biggest memories. But yes, I mean, we did the last ever live concert of Hot Chocolate.
Oh, right. I
didn't realize
Errol,
the founder, died a few
few
weeks later. So we, Bonnie Tyler, Bananarama, Kim Wilde, we did this acoustic set, which was beautiful. Yeah. So I'm having fun. With the themes and ideas and with the execution at a good and creative level. The theme that most has grabbed us over the last few years is, of course, the war in Ukraine. It's direct impact for us. I can see as a human being, as an artist, the defense of Ukraine and the potential flowering of Ukraine post-war, it's going to be a technology hub. The technology that's going into things like real estate, which is spin-offs from the war. And I was just reading yesterday that Ukraine hit a world first by capturing a Russian position using only remote-controlled unmanned robots.
Oh, I saw this. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So imagine the spin-off technologies that are going to come out of that. So that, the future is of Ukraine. We did Garry Kasparov. We did this big chess theme. Last year, and some people got it, some people didn't. But the idea was that we always our angle is always the pursuit of excellence. That's what we recognize as an industry awards, the pursuit of excellence, the achievement of excellence. And here we had Garry Kasparov and Judith Polgar, the two greatest chess players of all time. That is inspirational and aspirational to people who think beyond the balance sheet, the numbers. What I have found is a top layer of leaders in any sector actually are actually quite often very creative people. They're not just numbers people. They do think wider. They do think higher. And they tend to appreciate our themes and ideas, and we got some great feedback about the chess theme, but a lot of people didn't get it. The other thing is that the alliance between of strategy, tactics, and planning, and execution, and killing. There are a lot of commonalities with business. And so we were exploring those themes, just having fun. You got to have a bit of fun, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There'll be a different theme.
When we talk about because the vision, the artistic vision, and then we talk about the business leaders, and bringing those two things together. Now, look, I've been playing, writing, recording music since the age of 12. So I very much grew up in that scene, and many of my oldest friends are currently artists, and I've watched them over the years, and some have done great and some have not done so great. It's a hard business. But one thing I have noticed is I have seen incredibly talented people struggle to balance their artistic vision with, say, commercial expectations, and many of them. And I think probably one of the hardest things they have to overcome is a lot of them just simply refuse to adapt their vision for an investor or record label or a
to
patron.
Sell something.
Now, when it comes to you, I've always viewed you, and in all the years I've known you, I've always viewed you as an artist first and a business person second. True. So I'm kind of curious, how have you navigated that tension between those two things over the years?
Well, the thing is, it's true. There is a tension at a theoretical level. Artists look down in some ways at money. It's a tension between money and art, and artists, let's say, look down on the pursuit of money at the expense of all else. It's suspicious.
It's almost like selling out, isn't it?
They're just suspicious of that machine because it's ruining the planet, ruining communities in their view. Businessmen look down on artists because they see them as a bit frivolous, lacking purpose, etc. But the artists need the businessmen to survive, to pay their bills, and the business guys need the artists to decorate their palaces.
Yes,
the money guys. So there is a tension there in terms of their goals.
It's a tense dance, I think.
It's a dance, and for me, I was always, as a kid, always doing projects. I think the My very first project was when I was about 8 or 9 years old. No, I would have been about 11. I was at primary school in Zimbabwe, and there was a boarding school. There was a girls' house and a boys' house, and every Saturday when you were in the senior years, there was a senior common room where we could go, and we would invite the girls over one Saturday for lemonade and crisps, and they would invite us over the next Saturday, and we would just stand, girls on that side, boys on that side, nobody talking to each other, sipping on their lemonade, and I just thought this can be done better, and I got together a group of guys to create a bit of a show which we called ourselves the Wombles. It was a spin-off of the Wombles. We sang all the Womble songs, learned some dances, and we kicked off we used to call it the disco. It wasn't a disco, nobody danced. We kicked off the disco with this Wombles show, and it just changed the whole atmosphere. People were dancing and talking and everything. And then this became a fixture, a regular fixture, and that gave me my taste for entertaining people.
Yeah.
The value of entertaining people. And that's what stayed with me. But I was much more of an artist. So when it came to physics and chemistry and maths, I kind of, paid half attention. But the arts and humanities subjects are what grabbed me. So I, developed from that side, much more than I did from the business side. But to make a project work, you have to be able to work a budget, and find some money. And while I was an active poet when I was younger, and that's actually how it started. My professional career started. I looked at poetry events, 15 men and old men and women and their dogs, and I thought this can be done better. Yeah. I started doing poetry shows in art galleries and post-industrial warehouses and things like that, and getting 200-300 people to them. So I knew I had some sort of talent in that area, and I bridged the artist and the businessman in a way that not many people can do. Generally speaking, I would say that artists should stay hell away from business guys, and probably vice versa. The business guys not only see artists as lacking purpose, but also in some ways a little bit of dangerous. There's been a whole history of conflicts between money world and art world over the centuries, and so it's a wonderful tension actually. It's well, unfortunately we're not living in the Renaissance Florence where the business people, the bankers, are happily giving money away to artists to spend on whatever. They weren't giving it away. They were investing. Whoever invested in Michelangelo did pretty well.
So, but you mentioned budgets then as well, and obviously, the business guys, they look at their budgets and say, well, this is my marketing budget, and this is what I want to do, and we're going to allocate some of this to CEEQA, and then for you then as well, because as I said, you have to work within budgets, but you're trying to kind of, I guess, squeeze as much entertainment value out of it.
I actually tend to ignore the budgets. Right. I tend to ignore the budgets and focus on the pursuit of excellence of our platform, set out to create the fairest industry awards in history and the best business event in history. Those are our goals, because that is what would project the sector beneficially as part of the general framework to attract and fulfill international investment.
Yeah,
with leaders.
So, staying on the theme of doing a lot of themes today, of the event. One thing that I'm kind of curious, and we talked about this last week, is really where I'm kind of interested to see where you're seeing the future of these type of business events at the moment, because when we look at, say, the current say Gen Z that are in at the moment. What we're finding, or what we're seeing, is a lot of these guys they're becoming less and less social, and I think they're less keen to do business mixer events and get out and be seen. They would rather be kind of a lot of them, I think, would prefer to be tucked up in bed at 10
well, the
p.m.
way we describe it at CEEQA is Gen X likes to stand at the bar, get drunk, and shake hands and do some business. In fact, they think the best business is done at the bar. That's our generation.
Yeah.
Gen Z or Z, they tend to like get-togethers, talking, drinking non-alcoholic yerba mate, and be nicely tucked up in bed by 10 o'clock with a cup of hot cocoa.
Yeah,
we joke about that, but then that infuses adaptations and changes we make to CEEQA, give them more lounge area, give them more non-alcoholic cocktails. Those were really good at the last.
They sure were.
I didn't drink it. I didn't have a drop of alcohol. I just drank. I was just going from one alcoholic cocktail to the next. And they were really nice. So I understand. Is that going to hurt the future of these events? Well, for something like CEEQA, our belief is that if it's good enough, the people will come.
Yeah.
We aim to be good enough, not to fulfill our ambitions of doing something great, but in order to project this market in the right way.
Yeah.
In the early days, there was a sense, as we said, of needing to bring in the international and institutional investors to develop the market further, and build the market, and that's that's been the story of the Central and Eastern Europe markets. So the idea is to do it well enough that it's a positive advertisement for the sector. And the same will, be true of Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine is, we've been doing this Ukraine Live Connect project, connecting investors from both sides and developers, top drawer, just to get a feel for where things can go. We're doing a discussion this next month, just before the gala, about the capacity of the Ukraine market to engage with international investment. So the Ukraine market is significantly behind because it was much closer tied to Russia, so it had much more difficulty exiting the Russian yoke and embracing, call it Western capitalism. So in some ways it's less developed, but it's also incredibly well developed. I've been there a few times during the war, and I've been down to Kharkiv, almost to the front line. I got a great tour there. So there's a harrowing side, which is all incredible destruction there. And then there's also the opportunity side, where the retail sector there, for example, is top class. There are some fantastic developers and some fantastic projects, inner city, regional. So there might not be so much opportunity there because they're doing pretty well, but things like office, which is having a tough time at the moment. There's a lot of scope for development there. Logistics is going to fly. Logistics is already flying because it's required for the war process and the defense of Ukraine. But once it's established as an independent state moving forward, it's the door is open to becoming, like Poland has been, a logistics hub and travel through for the CEE markets, and you could argue some Eurasian markets. Ukraine is also going to have an incredible market position there. So the opportunity there, for sure. Our market will need much more transparency, and uniformity of processes, legal process, financial process for the international investors to get engaged. But if it becomes, and it will become, a much more EU facing, and potentially NATO facing country, or it's going to have to change those processes in order to engage with those international markets more, and that is what's going to create the opportunity. I'm 100% confident that where that's going to go.
Yeah. And so we're a few weeks away from the 2026 CEEQA. So how are you? How's your preparations going? How are you? Because you mentioned earlier on, if you build it, they will come, and every year has been sold out. I imagine this year will be no different. Can you give us any hints of any surprises you have for us? What can we expect this year?
It's all top secret. No, it is top secret, actually. We just...
Well, you did announce Natalie Imbruglia.
We've announced Natalie Imbruglia. She will be
yeah.
our star. That's an important part of the signature of CEEQA. It helps bring attention and brings feet through the door. I would say that this year is a return to what we call the worldwide hits group. We've, down the years with CEEQA, done bands with worldwide hits. After the pandemic, our budgets were a lot thinner. We were completely destroyed by the pandemic and other factors and all the headwinds coming out of the pandemic, the war, inflation, currency fluctuations, a general slowdown of the market. So the last few years, but we've still done bands like Atomic Kitten and M People, and so on, which people have enjoyed, but they're more kind of the European hit makers.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But we're getting back to the worldwide hit makers now, and I don't know. I think CEEQA's got a very prosperous future. It's got a role to play in the market. Some people get that. Some people get all the ideas and the colours of CEEQA, and some people don't. And that's the same in any business, or any walk of life, anywhere in the world. But yeah, we're confident of our.
Regardless of how kind of deeply people, look at the impact of CEEQA, one thing I can say for sure, having been to, I think probably every CEEQA since its conception, is it's a fantastic night, and it's a great night, and it's a great, the entertainment is great, the visuals are great, service, the food.
We work hard on the food,
and as you said, with me being kind of a non-alcoholic drinker these days, the non-alcoholic drinks were great last year, so really looking forward to it.
Well, we're looking forward to it. We always look forward to welcoming the gang and giving them a great time.
Brilliant.
I still just love entertaining people.
Well, you do it. You do a good job of it, Richard. So listen, on that bombshell, let's wrap up. And great to see you, Richard. Thank you very much for coming down and having a chat. And best of luck over the next few weeks.
I've been very impressed. I've seen a few of your podcasts, the human side of real estate podcasts, and it's always interested me. So it's a really interesting thing for me to participate. Thanks.
Brilliant.
So much.
And thank you. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Indeed.